So here is the official welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for coming this evening on a beautiful, sunny, summery May the 6th. As most of you know, I'm Charlene Pauls, and I realized recently that I'm heading into the 5th anniversary of being the artistic director at Guelph Chamber Choir, which is hard to believe. Before I took this role, I
No.
had uh, background.
Mary, did you want to listen to it?
Whoop, I'm hearing other voices.
Yeah.
We are asking everyone to go on mute if possible, just so that we don't have competing noises here. Thanks.
Yeah.
Um, so just for those of you who don't know my background, I had the privilege of singing soprano solo as one of my first careers. And I sang with the Guelph Chamber Choir at least on 2 occasions as the soprano soloist for Messiah. And I think it was for the Brahms Requiem at one point. No, it wasn't. Anyway, I think it was Messiah twice. But it has been quite a wonderful transition to come on as the artistic director. And now this is 5 years. We had the, the wonderful weathering of the pandemic. I'm being sarcastic. We have built programming in those 5 years. We've got some new initiatives that we're all very proud of. And we have seen our audiences come back more and more over the last 2 years, which is such a boost for the choir and for us as an organization. And it just feels like we're on this fantastic trajectory. So thank you so much for being here as we launch our season. The choir season is officially done, but we are kind of continuing on with a few things. Just this past Saturday, we finished up what we call our Sing Out programming, and that is our community engagement programming. And we appeared at 4 different long-term care homes this past Saturday. And that is truly one of the highlights for many of us to engage with seniors where they live. We call it bringing our concerts to them instead of having them come to us, because for many of them, that is beyond what they can do. So that was a wonderful thing. And there are a handful of us from the choir who will be appearing at what I believe would be the first time that the Guelph Chamber Choir has appeared at the Guelph Dance Festival. I don't think that has happened before. We're joining the Denise Fujiwara Dance Inventions company out of Toronto. They're putting together a show called Moving Parts. And it's about a 30-minute show. We are the music for the dancers as a choir. And it is, we're going out of our comfort zone as we do that. It's pretty exciting and fun. And come out and see us. It's at Exhibition Park in Guelph. And the performances are May 31st at 7, June 1, noon, June 2 at noon. So that we are almost done, but not quite done is what that is all about. We're here though to look at next year's season. But before we do that, we wanted to just do a quick recap of what we have done this past year. So we're looking at the 2023-24 season highlights. I suspect that most of you who are on this Zoom were at our concerts last year, if not one or more, maybe all of them. And I would love to see in the chat what were some of the highlights for you? What did you enjoy? Do you have any favorite moments from our concerts this past year? So if you would be interested in sharing that, we would love to see that. Let's continue through and take a look at our, there we go, Layla Stevens, the Halloween Gala. We're going to take a look at that right now. So as Layla is very conveniently mentioning, we started last year with a Halloween Gala that you can see from the pictures was quite an unconventional program. I think it was one of the most fun programs I have ever conducted. It was a range of eclectic music we had the theme song from the Addams Family, we had the Time Warp, and then we had, music from living composers Ola Yalo, Elaine Hagenberg. You can see one of our soloists, Chris Fisher, in our second half, Carmina Burana. Chris not only sang tenor, but played organ to open up the program. We were joined by Torque Percussion, a fantastic ensemble. We were joined by the Guelph Youth Singers. In that top right photo, you can see the kids in the balcony for our second half, Carmina Burana. You'll see in the lower half there, Irene Gregorio joined Alison McNeil for our two pianos in Carmina Burana. We had, yes, Chris was the swan, exactly, and just did an amazing job of that. Uh, one of my good friends, Colleen Scull, was our soprano soloist. Dion Mazzaroli was our baritone soloist. The choir, you can see, was dressed up. Audience was dressed up. We had an intermission costume parade, and we had some entertaining interviews with many of the audience members. There was a fantastic energy, and you can see in some of these photos the decor that surrounded us, and that was the hard work of our friends of the Guelph Chamber Choir. What you can't see is outside there was a pathway of lit pumpkins that were carved from the parking lot to the front door. And when you came in the doors, there were people dressed up and more Halloween decor, and they just went over and above. It was quite a fantastic night and just great energy. So that was what kicked off our season. How do you follow that? Well, we did two concerts, and these were our more seasonal concerts. The lower pictures that you see there are from our singing in the season, and that was an opportunity for us to highlight many of our capable singers in the choir, including our two Newfelt emerging artists who conducted the choir. Each one of our section leads also conducted the choir, and audience members remarked at how fantastic the musicality of this choir is. You know, we're used to seeing seeing our musicians as singers, but many are wearing very many hats and are very strong conductors as well. And this was an opportunity for us to see them in their element there. Uh, Above was the final concert of 2023, and that was our Messiah at the Basilica. And we were quite thrilled that we had a sold out audience that evening of over 800 people in the Basilica, and what fantastic energy there was. We were joined by GCVI Choir, and that's now in our third year of them singing the Hallelujah Chorus with us. This is, again, part of our community connections and outreach and youth mentoring of musicians. Other highlights were we had, you know, hot cider and refreshments and Viennese wines that were for offer in the reception area downstairs of the Basilica. We had a string quartet of high school players playing while people walked in. We try to create experiences in our concerts, and you know, those are some of the ways that we do that. The group of soloists, you can see there in the top right corner, Anisa Mugisha in the red. This was her first Messiah. It was exciting. Jenny Enns is a veteran. She has sung with us many times. Owen McCausland, this was his second time. And then Steve Hegedus on the right is a former colleague of mine. And it was, you know, really thrilling to work with that very fine group of soloists as well. So what a way to end 2023. Now, how do you beat that? Well, go to Carnegie Hall. So in March of 2024, a number of our singers in the Guelph Chamber Choir joined me on the podium there at Carnegie Hall in New York City. This was on March 17th. There was a marathon going on outside while we were singing our concert. In the morning, when we tried to get to the hall, we had to battle kind of going under subways and so on so that we could actually get to the hall through the marathon. And it was, you know, very good New York moments. It was quite a moment for me to stand on that podium where Tchaikovsky first opened this hall in 1891 and stood on that podium, and where someone like Leonard Bernstein conducted over 400 concerts in that space. And that group of singers in front of me is about maybe a quarter of them were from Guelph Chamber Choir, and others were from across Canada. And the age range was age 15 to 85. No, age 11 to 85. So it was quite a remarkable group of singers that gathered for that. And I don't know that I mentioned, we sang Mendelssohn's really absolutely beautiful piece, his Psalm 42. And so that was March. Uh, and then we headed just a few weeks ago into our final concert of the year, which was called The Language of the Stars. And it coincided with the week of the solar eclipse, which was just absolutely perfect timing. And once again, we returned to the Basilica. We had the Guelph youth singers joining us again. So they bookended our concert series this year. And we had a eclectic program again of Bach, the Mendelssohn, we remounted it for chamber orchestra and for our smaller forces as a 40 voice choir. And you'll see on the top right, Annie Ramos, our soprano soloist, and she happens to be the sister of one of our longtime sopranos, Trisha Ramos, who's been in the choir for a long time. So that was special. We had the Guelph Youth Singers open up the second half of the program with their own piece, which was absolutely so cute and fun. It was a Brazilian piece with movement and so on. And then we are about to launch the keystone piece of the program called The Language of the Stars by Canadian composer Katerina Gimin. And this joined all of our forces. It's about a 7-minute work, and we are about to launch that. You will have it availability to see that video as of tomorrow. So this is your heads up that that's on its way. And we closed the concert with Morten Lauritsen's very moving Lux Aeterna, which in the acoustics of the Basilica was quite stunning. And what I didn't yet mention is our composer competition this year. We launched this as a project, and Alison McNeil and I juried about 25 or so different composers who submitted glorious pieces and chose this one out of all of them. And we premiered this work called The Color of Earth. So it was a fantastic program, and that's how we closed our year. So that's the past year. I'm just looking, are there more comments of this past season as to, some highlights that I've missed? Dave Davidson saying my most memorable Messiah ever. Chris has the Swan. Yes, Halloween Gala. Is there any other comments that you wanted to say? That just a lot of them are about our Halloween concert that kicked us off, which is what I kind of expected, because that was quite an eclectic one and lots of fun. So just to give you a bit of a bigger picture, we have our concert series, but what we are very passionate about is reaching out to the community and what we call our Sing Out programming. Included in that is a strong mandate to foster youth musical development. And one of the ways we do that is an annual high school workshop with a guest clinician. This year, we brought in Dr. Jamie Hillman from the University of Toronto, and you can see there are about 100 kids in the auditorium, the sanctuary of Harcourt. And he led them, he had them in the palm of his hand and led them through learning 2 songs, learning how to use their voices, and creating a very sort of informal performance of those 2 pieces by the end of the day. So this is part of us supporting music programming in our high schools. I am, one of the other roles that I have is working with youth here where I live in Oakville with the Oakville Choir for Children and Youth. And I know firsthand how much the pandemic has affected those youth, not only in the music programming that has been available to them, but also mental health and challenges around kids that kids are facing these days. And I have seen too firsthand how music and how singing together fosters connection and builds bridges and develops, is an antidote to mental health challenges that a lot of those youth are facing. So these are some of the reasons why this is so important to us, and why I'm so passionate about these types of programming initiatives that Guelph Chamber Choir has put together. So I'm going to continue on, and just, again, before I launch our season ahead, I wanted to do a big shout out to the backbone and lifeblood of our organization, our choir. There you will see a photo of us from a year ago. Many of those same faces are still in the choir. There's a few changes, but not many. And this is a group of singers who I look forward to seeing every week. There are teachers, there are engineers, there are landscape architects, there are scientists, and there are, a wide range of different daytime activities that all of these fine people undertake. And on Monday nights, we all get together and we create some beautiful things. And it's a special group of people to work with. And we are growing and becoming more and more intergenerational as these past years have progressed. It's nice to see some younger faces in there and younger singers who are joining us. Part of our Sing Out and part of our mandate to develop youth musicians is the Patricia and Gerald Neufeld Emerging Artist Program. And this past year, we had two fantastic candidates, Lindsay Scott and Will Ainsbury. You see them there in the top left, and you get the charisma of these two young people. Lindsay is in her undergrad at Laurier, and Will just graduated from Laurier. And through this program, I would meet with them bi-weekly on Zoom, and we would talk through different musical issues. We created programs for each of them that met with their personal goals. So it wasn't just a one size fits all. They were given opportunity to conduct at concerts. They were leading at rehearsals, so developing their rehearsal techniques. They sang solos throughout our concert season. And in situations, there are a few pictures here at the workshop. They were given quite a few opportunities for leadership and developing those skills that you can't just do on your own. So these are ways that the Guelph Chamber Choir can help foster this next generation of music leaders. And Will and Lindsay have been just a joy to work with this past year. I will miss them. So we are now about to launch our next emerging artist series, and that information will come up. Any of you on Zoom tonight, and if you know of young people under the age of 30 who could benefit from this program, please have them reach out to our organization, and we will talk to them and see if it's a good fit. So here's what we've all been waiting for, and that is what is coming up in 2024-25, my 5th year with this choir. We are starting with something that hasn't been done by Guelph Chamber Choir for a while. This is not the first time that Guelph Chamber Choir will be doing this, but it has been a while, and we're doing a different film. So we are creating a choral soundtrack to the 1925 silent film, The Phantom of the Opera. And this film is outstanding. We are going to have an organist, Chris Dawes, and pianist, Allison McNeil, improvising in between scenes. And then the choir has vignettes and segments from different pieces from a wide range of choral repertoire that will be the backdrop of these scenes that you're going to see in black and white from this 1925 masterpiece. Actor Lon Chaney, this was his big debut, and apparently nobody was able to see his face. It did not release his face at all ahead of the film. And then when he took off his mask in the film, that was a big reveal moment in this particular film. So you can see we have 2 shows. We're kind of, going for a movie theater kind of approach to this. It's going to be at the Guelph Arboretum, that beautiful garden space within the University of Guelph. And we have a 6 p.m. and a 9 p.m. show. So you can choose the early show or the late show. Popcorn, snacks, and just cozy up and enjoy a fantastic evening of great music and a very beautiful, interesting, very old film, almost 100-year-old film. Following that, we are going to not do a seasonal concert this year like we have in previous years, partly because of the late date of the Phantom of the Opera. We're going to be doing our Messiah again, though. And we had such a great success with our Messiah last year. We will be doing more of the same, but there's always twists that are going to happen. There will always be surprises. There's always going to be something a little different. This year, we are targeting the same weekend before Christmas. It's a beautiful night to gather the family, come out, enjoy an evening of music in this outstanding space. Feel like, the season has entered, and maybe there's a bit of a lull before for many of us who celebrate Christmas before the 25th of Christmas. And for those who don't, it's just that time of gathering together for family and hearing some glorious music. I'm excited about our soloists this year, and I see Dan Lichty is on the Zoom tonight. I had a conversation with Dan just this week, and he's celebrating 50 years of professional life and professional singing. Many of those years have been connected with Guelph Chamber Choir, and he's been a frequent collaborator with us in making music over the years. And I'm just so thrilled that Dan is coming back this year to sing the bass part of Messiah with us. And Dan and I were talking, we actually did a duet recital together probably 10 years ago, Dan, I think. And it was the Hugo Wolf Italienisches Liederbuch that the two of us sang back and forth. That was a highlight for me. So it'll be great to be on the podium with Dan singing the bass solos. The other soloists that you see, Elizabeth Lepoc is coming back. Autumn DeBasica is one of our first Neufeld emerging artists. And that year she premiered, she debuted her Messiah solos, and she's now returning as a much more seasoned singer. So that's pretty exciting for us to see Autumn return. Wesley Harrison, I have not met, but I saw him in performance, and we've connected over Instagram and through emails. And I'm excited to have him as the fourth of our four soloists there. So it's going to be a fantastic group of soloists again. And yes, I'm seeing some comments that, acknowledging Autumn as one of our first emerging artists and so on. So it's nice to connect with people who feel like family and make music together. Following that, we are doing something, again, just a little more informal and less maybe conventional in what we're calling the scoundrels and scallywags of Guelph. Many of you know Guelph is heading into a bicentennial year in 2027. And as we were thinking of that event coming up, I know it's on the horizon, we were thinking of, how unique Guelph is. And there's a unique history around Guelph as a community. One area that is a lot of fun to explore are some of the characters of Guelph's past. And there are some colorful characters that you may or may not be aware of. So we're going to be doing some storytelling of actual people and events around Guelph's history. We're going to throw in some fun songs. It is all at the Art Bar on Quebec Street. This is beside the bookshelf up the stairs. So this is an open bar. This is, grab some drinks, have some food, listen to some great choral music. We'll probably have some solos and duets and maybe even some instrumental stuff happening. Maybe a sing-along, maybe some trivia, who knows? There's a lot of opportunity for us to just break out of the box and have a fun evening of music that surrounds some of the more colorful past of Guelph. So hopefully you will make it to that one as well. And then finally, our last concert will be in April, and we are joining the Guelph Youth Singers again this season in a program of works that illuminate underrepresented voices. Music can be such a powerful way of connecting and a powerful way of creating understanding. And this is a program of music that makes us think and that perhaps illuminates some voices and narratives that we don't often get a chance to understand. A couple of highlights from that. Shireen Abu Khader is a Jordanian, is a Palestinian Canadian composer, and she wrote a piece about an Egyptian woman who came to Canada after she had been an activist for LGBTQ rights in Egypt, who had been tortured and so on. And she moved to Toronto and took her own life shortly after she arrived in Toronto. And Shireen has written a very powerful piece that is in honor of this Egyptian woman, and it is called, and I'm just wanting to make sure I get my titles right. It's called I Forgive. It's unbelievable. So that is one of the pieces that we are programming. Another is by one of my favorite composers, Jake Runestad. He's an American, and he wrote a piece called A Silence Haunts Me. It is music set to Beethoven's letter to his nephew when Beethoven is realizing that his hearing is almost gone, and that sense of loss that he's going through. You'll hear overlaid some of Beethoven's iconic piano music from our pianist. And I'll give you a foreshadowing of this piece. It is a longer piece, and by the end of it, the conductor is conducting the choir, who is just mouthing words. So it's as if we've all completely lost our sense of hearing by the end. And it's a very poignant moment to imitate what would have been Beethoven's experience. So that is another one that is happening. We're going to be programming a piece of one of the composers who was part of our composer competition this past year, and we fell in love with his piece, but it wasn't the best fit for the winning piece of the premiere that we just had a few weeks ago in April. However, it had a lot of potential. And so we reached out to Chris Kovaric in Toronto, and they are reworking the submission that they put in. The piece is called Towards Infinity, Oblivion, for piano and percussion. And we will be premiering that piece as well. That is about the future of the planet and, what direction are we going? And will there be anyone left? Now, this is all sounding very sad and tragic. We are also going to have some fantastic uplifting music by Canadian composers such as Sarah Cortell, and she has this joyful, joyful piece called A Voice on the Wind, full of energy and so on. So I promise you, you won't leave feeling worse than you came in. You will leave feeling like, I hope, that you have had an experience again and that you've encountered some amazing music. So that is our closer for the year and there will be more, but those are some of the highlights. So moving along, I would like to just, tell you a little bit of, some of the things that we wanted to share with you this evening. I'm wondering if any of you saw the article that was in Guelph today a couple of weeks ago, where Tammy Twinkle and Dave Davidson, our general manager and our chair of the board, who are both on this Zoom, had an interview with a reporter from Guelph today, and just being very frank about the state of our organization as it reflects for many organizations these days, but the hard reality of how we are managing to financially keep going. We have been very proud of staying within our budget, and in fact, being getting a slight surplus for every one of our concerts. We are in budget artistically. We are getting great audience response. We're getting full houses. It's fantastic and exciting programming. But that doesn't pay for our operating costs, which are the monthly expenses that every organization has to undertake. My salary, Tammy's salary, and renting space for our rehearsals, buying music, and all these other expenses that are incurred every single month. And so we are undertaking a fundraising campaign right now that is two-pronged, and you'll see on our website a couple of different thermometers. One of them is that we're trying to increase our donors, who are our fantastic supporters, who we appreciate immensely, many of whom will provide a one-time donation for the year, for which we are extremely grateful. We are hoping to transfer some of those, really solid supporters that we have to consider a monthly donation. And it may reflect kind of what you donate anyway. It may be a little bit more, maybe a little less if that's where you're at. But to provide a monthly amount of donation so that we can count on having a certain continuity of finances coming through. The ebb and flow of our financial year is what it is when we have concerts and we're paying musicians and so on. And then we have several months where no money is coming in from that. So to have that monthly stability is a huge, huge thing for us as an organization. You'll see our goal is, I think, fairly modest. We're hoping to have, a $1,000 of monthly donations coming in as soon as possible, so that we can just, know that, okay, there's at least $1,000 coming in every month through sponsorships, donations, and that kind of thing. We're almost at halfway. We're at $400 as of today, so that's exciting. And then the other thermometer that we see is that immediate need. And this is part of rebuilding our financial stability as an organization. And we are ideally needing $25,000 to get back to where we want to be heading into our next season. Again, we're not doing too badly. We're at $7,000. And if you would consider a donation to help alleviate that deficit that we're facing right now, we appreciate that. And so we are addressing that, and are being open about it and being very transparent about it. And as we have said to each other many times, the demise of the Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony gave us all a wake-up call. We're trying to be very diligent and transparent, and Tammy is fantastic at just combing through our finances to make sure that we're on track and that we're where we need to be. So we're in very, very good hands. We're just looking for more ways to build support financially as we continue through. Continuing on, we have, let's, what else do we have here? We have our sponsorships. Whoops, where are we? Yeah, our sponsorships. And this is, again, just opportunities for supporters of our choir to find a project. Maybe there's something that you are particularly passionate about. Our youth workshops cost about $5,000 to run. The Newfelt Emerging Artists are about $6,000 to $10,000 a year to run that program. New commissions, we're looking at recommissioning the piece for our Can You Hear Me concert. That will be about $500 to do. We are getting a commission from our winner, Nicholas Kelly, an additional piece that he's rewriting for us, and that would be $250. So there's opportunity for people, if you're interested in what I would call a legacy sponsorship, something that is a very tangible program that we've got. That is something that you may want to consider as well. And if you are more into the concert production side of things, we have different levels of sponsorship available for sponsoring a soloist, sponsoring a song. I've done that several times this year. I know several people on this Zoom call have done that this year. And it's a beautiful way to pay tribute to somebody in your life or to celebrate someone in your life. And so there are opportunities in our programming for you to have your name in the program saying, this is dedicated to my mother, for her birthday, or in memory of my father, or so on. the podium and so on. So there are different ways of you acknowledging and sponsoring the choir through our programming. And uh, if and with all of that, what we hope you do is purchase tickets for our next year, and that is what you're here for tonight. So tonight we are showing you our ticket pricing. We've got a really great range of prices available for our tickets this year, anywhere from $25 to $45. So $25 for our silent film event and for the Scoundrels and Scallywags event at the Art Bar, up to $45 for adults for the Messiah. And then our senior pricing correlates to that. We have our youth pricing, which is the under 30, still for $10, and anyone 15 and under is a steal, $5. All of that will be up, and individual tickets will be available as of June 1st. We have season passes that we are launching this evening, and I think it's a great deal. For $110, you get a season's pass for all 4 concerts. As a senior, it's under $100. It's $90 for you to join us for all 4 concerts. And then again, our youth pricing, you can see, is a very, very good deal. So if there's anyone in your life who would appreciate that, maybe there's a birthday coming up or an anniversary or, some kind of gift, maybe, Mother's Day is coming up. Maybe that's a nice gift to provide for somebody. And for the first time, we're offering a family pass of $275, and that covers 2 adults and up to 3 kids 18 and under. We didn't, we kind of went in between our 2 youth pricing. And so that's another way, again, to do, as a great gift for anyone, if you know a family of music lovers who may enjoy that. So that's our excitement of our ticket pricing and our season's pass launch and so on. We are thrilled to be offering that to you this evening, and the passes are on sale right now on our website. I'm wondering if there are any questions or comments in the chat here before we wrap up this evening. I'm just reading some of the comments from Saya. Messiah was glorious, and the recording is beautiful on YouTube. That is another thing that we've been doing this season, is uploading our concerts onto YouTube. Please check that out. We had incredible interest in our Messiah recording. After just a few days, we had over 1,000 views, and I think we're almost at 2,000, or maybe we've surpassed that. But it's fun as a performer to see how many people are picking up on these recordings online, and getting to know Guelph Chamber Choir through an online presence as well. So I think that's it as far as our launch, and thank you for listening for me for 40 minutes. That was a lot of information, and I'm very passionate about what we're doing, and about the value and wonderful organization that I am able to head into in my 5th year now with this group. Once again, we have the Language of the Stars video that we had hoped to show you tonight. The quality of the sound just wasn't up to our level of satisfaction. So we would rather that you find it tomorrow online and listen to it. Just crank it and listen to it full volume. It's such a fantastic piece, and more of the concert will be available within the next few days. So Sally, looks interesting. Thanks, Sally. Sounds exciting from one of our singers, Moira, a new singer this year. And I really hope to see all of you at our concerts this coming year. And once again, want to say a big thank you for coming, and for supporting us as an arts group in your community. And it's a real treat to be part of it. So with that, no further ado, I will say goodnight, and hope to see you soon. maybe at the dance festival in a few weeks, where we will be out of our element, but quite enjoying it. So that's it. Thanks, everyone.